Our next question says, what is the difference between alpha testing and beta testing? So we have different types of acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is the last testing level, okay? And we have many types of it. One of them is alpha testing and beta testing. So what is alpha testing and what is beta testing, and what is the difference between them? So first, alpha and beta testing are used by developers of commercial off-the-shelf software. For example, something like Office, okay, or Windows. Any software that can be, for example, downloaded from the website or added to a CD-ROM or on a flash memory. This is a commercial off-the-shelf. So this software, the developers of this software who want to get feedback from potential or existing users, customers, or operators before the software product is put on the market. So for example, if a game is being launched for PlayStation or Xbox or even PC, in this case also we might perform alpha testing and beta testing before releasing the full version of this game, okay? So alpha testing is performed at the developing organization site. So if we are performing alpha testing, this means that we will invite the users or the stakeholders to our development organization and they will test it under our supervision, okay? So it is not done by the development team, but by potential or existing customers and operators or an independent test team. On the other hand, beta testing comes after alpha testing. So first we perform alpha testing at the development organization, then we perform beta testing, but it is also done by potential or existing customers or operators at their own locations, not at the development organization's location. So for example, from your home, you download this application or this game and begin to use it as a potential customer, and we as developers or the development organization get feedback from your use of it. Beta testing, like we said, may come after alpha testing, or it may occur without any preceding alpha testing have occurred. So we have two situations. We may have alpha testing and then we have beta testing, or we may only have beta testing before releasing the software to users. The next question says, what are the benefits of test independence? So test independence means that the tester is independent of the development, okay? So for example, we have a separate testing team and a separate development team, or we are outsourcing our testing to another company. So this is a test independence. So we have many benefits of test independence. One of them is that independent testers are likely to recognize different kinds of failures compared to developers. So if the developer tests his software and the tester tests the same software, the tester is more likely to find defects and failures in this software. And this is because of their different backgrounds, technical perspectives, and biases. Also, the tester can verify, challenge, or disprove the assumptions made by stakeholders during specification and implementation of the system. So for example, we wrote our user requirements or our product backlog, and we are assuming that this backlog or this requirements is clear, okay? It is understandable. It has all the required fields and all the required functionalities in the software. So this is an assumption that we have performed. The tester will verify this assumption or he will challenge this assumption. Also, if you are an independent tester of the vendor, you can report in an upright and objective manner about the system under test without any pressure from the company that hired you. So if you work closely to the developers, in this case, you may feel afraid to report defects about the software, okay? You cannot say, for example, that this software is bad because it was developed by your team, by your teammates, okay? And you are part of this team, especially, for example, if it is an agile team like Scrum. On the other hand, if you are independent, you will not be afraid to say, okay, this software is bad, okay? Or it includes a lot of defects. But does this mean that test independence is always a good thing? No. Also, we have some drawbacks of test independence, and that's what leads us to the next question, which says, what are the potential drawbacks of test independence? Okay, and if you are in an interview and the interviewer asked you what are the benefits of test independence, tell him the benefits and the drawbacks. On the other hand, if he asks you about the drawbacks of test independence, also tell him the benefits and drawbacks. He might also say, for example, what do you think about test independence? In this case, you also say, okay, those are the benefits and those are the drawbacks, and depending on the size of my organization and the scope of my project, I will choose to have independent testers or not. So some drawbacks that come with test independence is isolation from the development team. So you do not communicate a lot with the development team, and this may lead to a lack of collaboration, delays in providing feedback to the development team, or an adversarial relationship with the development team. Also, if we have someone who is dedicated for quality, for example, the QA engineer or the independent tester, in this case, sometimes the developers may lose a sense of responsibility for quality. So if this company, for example, doesn't have an independent tester, so any defect that the client or the stakeholder will find, the blame will be on the developer. On the other hand, if we have independent tester, the developer might deliver the version of the software without performing thorough testing, because he might say, okay, the tester will begin to test this functionality after me, so I do not have to test it in a thorough way. And this is a bad thinking. This is not a good way of thinking about your software. Also, the independent testers may be seen as bottlenecks. So you may be blamed for the delay in delivery. Okay, the developer took, for example, 3 months to develop the software, and they tell you, okay, you have only 1 week to test this software. If testing requires 2 weeks, for example, in this case, they might tell you, okay, you are very slow and we need to deliver, you are delaying the release of the software. Also, the independent testers may lack some important information, and this is because of the lack of collaboration and communication between the tester and the development team. So like we said, is test independence a good thing or a bad thing? This depends on the project. It is not good and it is not bad.